Oh, welcome everybody. February 2023. Hello. Hello. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. Happy President's Day to you. Happy President's Day. Today is February 2023. 2023, February. It's almost springtime. Almost springtime in America. Almost springtime in America. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the program. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? Good. Oops. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy President's Day. President's Day to you. Here in America, we celebrate. We don't have a king. We have, instead of kings and queens, we have rock stars and presidents. Today is President's Day. All of them in one day. I believe it represents the presidents of the United States' birthdays. So we have a cumulative birthday today. Today is cumulatively George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and even Joe Biden's birthday today, all celebrated in one healthy day. And for whatever it's worth. So it was just a matter of time. I know that the vaccine mandates are still incredibly in New York in the SUNY school system. Incredibly, you are still mandated to get a vaccine against the deadly COVID-19 virus from 3 years ago, and these mandates have not been dropped. Also, it was just a matter of time, I think, before writers like George Orwell, even William F. and Shakespeare is now viewed, has made a white supremacist read list, if you will. So if a white supremacist group, a group who is allegedly preaching white supremacy, or whatever that means, if they read a book, for example, 1984, which is a depiction of totalitarian government, taking charge of the people, right? What I'm trying to say is it was just a matter of time that these things are now white supremacist. 1984 by George Orwell is considered a white supremacist read. Very, very unusual times we live in, and other stuff. So very light day today. It'll take a light day. Brain is kind of light. How's the weather outside? Weather 39 degrees here in northeast Pennsylvania. People are walking the streets. There is no snow on the ground. It was a mild winter, I got to tell you, so far. Only got one good day of ice skating on the lake and soon it'll be spring. I'm already fertilizing. How about you? Fertilizing outside, fertilizing the ground for the big crop to come so that you can eat it. Anyway, I hope everybody had a good weekend. Sometimes life is funny like that. Even kind of an awake state. When you meditate a lot, you realize that you're not always. I don't want to say that you don't always feel good, because that's inaccurate. You have the ability to feel good at any moment. What you have is a sense of sometimes things seem dull. Right? There's a certain dullness, and sometimes things seem they feel euphoric or uplifting, right? And you can't really predict per se what those feelings might be. But once you identify them, you can learn to relax. But sometimes you just feel a little, you feel a sense of dullness. I don't know what that is. Things are not incredibly clear. And then other times you feel very clear. So it's going to be a babble of a day today. So thank you all for joining me. This is my thumbnail today. You heard it right. You heard it first, maybe, right here on this channel, that William Shakespeare is now part of the complete writings of William Shakespeare is now part of the reading list of white supremacists. And this is from a study in England. An organization, a counter-terrorism organization, has put William Shakespeare and other great writers, including George Orwell's 1984, on this list of forbidden books, forbidden fruits. It's an attack. It's an attack on, a time gone by where people clashed with each other in terms of ideas, where people agreed to disagree, where people tolerated indifference. It seems that those days are long gone now. And you see it even in colleges, where there's such a sense of the opposite of individualism, right? Where people, when I was young, you went to college and you wanted to, I don't know, maybe you wanted to become something. You wanted to develop your voice and become some sort of, thing, some sort of force for good in your world, by expressing yourself. But now it seems like that is a misconception, and that conformity to the system is more desirable. Hey, why are you speaking those thoughts in your mind? Why do you have such a opinion of these things? Why don't you just go with the flow? That sort of thing. So kind of hard to explain. But anyway, so I got a website, marksconti.com. And every morning live at 9 a.m., rain or shine, feeling dull or feeling, mentally sparked, we're always here. Right? And also on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., live Dharma gathering. You don't have to be a Dharma or a Buddhist to join us. It's just a simple practice in meditation that seems to clearly be able to help anyone who endeavors on that path of meditation. How could one possibly get hurt by practicing on a daily basis to increase their sense of mindfulness and concentration? I fail to see any harm that could come from that, only good. So we're broadcasting across all these platforms right now. We're live on YouTube. You can watch the program on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, DLive. Also, a great way to fund this program. And thank you so much to the people who have done it already. Thank you very much for your fine contributions. And we're calling out for the one billionaire who hasn't deposited $1 million yet, but we're waiting. Any billionaire out there that might be watching the program, have your accountant forward $1 billion, 1 million, we'll take them with an M, to shorthappylife@gmail.com via Zelle. And we're going to, the plan is to really, really advance this program in a way that hasn't been seen in a very long time. It might be live from, downtown Bangkok, live from Hollywood, California, live from Austin, Texas, live from downtown New York City or Midtown. Right? And, or maybe, the temples of Nepal, who knows? Right? Maybe the hilltops of I don't know, go down to the Congo, reporting live from the Congo in Africa. But whatever, your contributions as a very, very wealthy person can make that happen by, if you want to see this type of messaging advance, if you really are a person who doesn't like to see, people like William Shakespeare and George Orwell be censored and categorized as white supremacists, consider making a very large donation, billionaire, to this program, and we'll help end all of that. So what do we got? Oh, so let's start off with some good news. This is a very good story. This is a poor dog. A dog was trapped. This is in the earthquake of Syria and Turkey. A dog got trapped under the rubble. Let's see what happens. Oh, here he is. Hello, Pooch. Hello, Poochie.
Makas beyler.
Makas. They're calling me Makas. So there's a dog. He's trapped in the rubble. Seems to be, it looks like he might be bleeding from the mouth a little bit. And who knows how long he's been under there for. They're trying to give him water. And drinking some water. So far, it's a good show, right? So far, it's a good thing. They're cutting away these chunks of metal. The dog just can't get the fuck out. You hear him barking at some point.
Başkan tut şunu.
Ayağının altını keserle çek biraz. Keserle çek.
Zarar vermeyin.
Altını boşaltalım abi, rahatlatalım altını.
Tamam.
I guess that's Russian.
Alttan.
Oh, poor dog. See, this is good. This is what good Samaritanism looks like. This is what you're supposed to do with your life. You're supposed to find, someone's pet. So the backstory to it is that obviously the people, the home is gone, but the people that were living in the home with the dog apparently are in the hospital. Dog's trying to get out, barking. Dog, they still can't get him out. He's pinned in there, right? It's good work, right? This is what emergency care looks like. Poor dog, right? Never knew it hit him. And we'll watch the end of the story. We'll watch how it works out. People in the chat are saying, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of speech. Unfortunately, a lot of people, when your freedom of speech is allowed, somehow, somewhere, some higher agency perceives that as a threat to their power. Good or bad, doesn't matter. It's just a threat to our power. We got to stop it. I don't know. Are they going to get the dog out? Are they going to get him out of there, or are they just going to leave him there? And he's being a good dog, allowing the people to pull him the fuck out. And he's out. Oh, my God. They got him out. Hey, good job. Good job. The pooch got out. It's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful story. A beautiful story from Ukraine. What else we got today? What else we got? Workers. Oh, this is fascinating. Look at this thing. Alligator. They found a 4-foot alligator. Where did they find it? Was it in the swamps of Florida? No. They found a 4-foot alligator in the park at Prospect Park, New York City. Holy smokes. 37-year-old dad of 2 from Brooklyn called the animal's discovery pretty terrifying. So they pulled a 4-foot gator out of the Prospect Park lake. And it wasn't responding so well because it's not supposed to be in there. It's not its natural habitat. Somebody put that shit in there, man. That's what happens. Like, the fucking alligator didn't swim up. People think, oh, yeah, the alligator just appeared from Florida. No, somebody put the alligator in the fucking thing, right? And the alligator, look how skinny the alligator is. Because he's frozen. Right? Alligators need like 70 and 80 degree weather. They don't need a frozen lake. This water right here is like, 38, 40 degrees all the time. So the alligator's down there freezing his ass off, and somebody finally saw him. Maybe it started out as a 2-foot alligator in the springtime, and nobody noticed it. But potentially dangerous. Once the water warms up and the alligator starts to feed, a hungry alligator will eat a dog, a cat, a little kid. He'll eat anything. He'll eat you off the boat. So it's not really funny that somebody did that, but every once in a while in Central Park, you'll see deer, you'll see a coyote end up in Central Park. Remember, Central Park is surrounded by streets. There's no way, right? Although it's a beautiful, a beautiful natural park on the inside, there's no way that a coyote walked from Bear Mountain down and crossed over the George Washington Bridge and made his way on the FDR into Central Park. It's not possible. Whenever you see something like this, an alligator can't make its way up from warm weather. There's no way for that to happen and land in Central Park, land in Prospect Park. It's almost always someone playing games, doing it on purpose. Let's put a wild coyote in Central Park and see how it does. People think it's a dog. So that's what happened there. Jimmy Carter, bad. Looks like not bad news, but end of life kind of news happening in the world of Jimmy Carter. Former president of the United States, 98 years old. Very, very amazing that he's alive. Former President Jimmy Carter has decided to receive hospice care instead of additional medical intervention at his home in Plains, Georgia. The Carter Center announced. 98-year-old made the decision after a series of short hospital stays. So he's having all kinds of surgeries. He had some scars on his brain, some kind of shit going on. Right? It's 98 years old. You're not going to live forever. Eventually, we're all going to die. We're all going to come to the same place, succumb to disease, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But Jimmy Carter at 98 years old, here's him. This is the kind of person Jimmy Carter is. Love him or hate him. There he is on the plane. This is 2017. He shook every hand on the plane. What a great American, Great American, Jimmy Carter. So hospice care generally means that, unless the hospital will make a decision. They'll say, look, if you don't, you've got this cancer that's spreading around your brain. If you don't do chemo, you'll be dead in 3 weeks or 2 months, or in his case, maybe tomorrow. And he basically has said that he's going to accept his pending death, if that's what it is, and hospice care at home. So Jimmy Carter, still above ground. But what a great president, in my view. He beat Gerald Ford, 1976, and then he lost bigly to Ronald Reagan in 1980. So he was a one-time president, most known for the 1979 Iran hostage crises, where there were the infamous 444 days where he tried to negotiate the release of American hostages in Iran and failed to do that. And Ronald Reagan solved the problem when he came into office. And who knows what he did? Did he bomb the fucking place or what? Whatever Ronald Reagan did. But that's Jimmy Carter, thought of as a liberal left. I don't know if he's liberal left. If you look at his values, he's probably by today's measure is extremely conservative. Put America first kind of policy. Decrease in violence, right? So Jimmy Carter on his way out. And Joe Biden, still the president of the United States, also looking like he's on his way out. Let's watch. So here's Joe Biden made a surprise visit to the Ukraine. There's Zelensky and his darling wife, and there's Joe stumbling to look at this guy. Look at the condition Joe Biden is in. Look at the posture. He looks like he can't even move his arms anymore. Like his arms don't work. Right? Yeah. This is the leader of the free world. Hey man, how you doing? I'm Joe Biden. You remember me? I'm Joe Biden. Yes, Mr. President, we remember you. We were just at the White House, motherfucker. He's going to shake the lady's hand. There's something about handshaking by women in Ukraine that's a little perplexing to me. I want to show you what I mean. Oh, they kissed. Zelensky at this point would drop to his knees and take care of Joe if he asked him to. And he probably let his wife do it too. They just donated another literal donation. Hey Joe, how you doing with those stairs, Joe? Do you need the elevator? I'm surprised they're not walking behind him to catch him if he falls. So there's Joe Biden giving his autograph in the big book. Here's the watch Zelensky, watch the hand gestures by the women. All right, so here's Zelensky, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I see something here. There's Zelensky and Biden working their way up to the party line where they're supposed to shake everybody's hand, right? And there's Zelensky. He puts his hand out to the president. The president puts his hand out to the woman, and the woman doesn't take his hand. Why? He shakes Zelensky's hand, but not Joe Biden. This fucking Joe. Somebody shake my hand, man. My hand is just out there, man. Can somebody shake my hand? Why didn't they shake Joe Biden's hand? What happened there? Why do we have to look at that guy? But why didn't people shake Joe Biden's hand on the party line? What did Joe do to deserve it? So anyway, Joe Biden has made we'll watch it again when it cues up. Joe Biden made a surprise appearance in the Ukraine to pledge another $500 million. No warning. He just showed up. He just showed up, and he just showed up, obviously for security reasons. I want to see this video again. Come on, man. Come on, man. Play it. You gotta watch these long-ass commercials, man. Long-ass commercials. Enterprise. So watch again. Watch the chain, right? I don't understand it. Help me understand this. Why didn't the people in line shake Biden's hand? Didn't he just give money? Look, the lady reaches out to Zelensky. I shake your hand. And there's Biden. Biden's like, wait, well, how come you didn't shake my hand? Am I making a big deal about it? I want to get rid of this thing so you can see it. Right? He's got his hand out. The lady's got her hands by her side. Look, frame by frame. There's the handshake with Zelensky. And then Joe Biden goes for that hand, and the hand disappears. He's like, what the fuck, man? Now he's reaching out to the guy, and Zelensky gets the hand first. Nobody shakes Joe Biden's hand. Nobody is shaking Joe Biden's hand. What did Joe Biden do? Come on, man. Come on, man. I flew all the way here from America, and no one's shaking my hand. There you have it, man. Evidence that Joe Biden is not as welcome as we think he is. Give me, shake my hand, please. Somebody shake my hand. Shake my hand. Shake my hand. I want you to shake my hand. So anyway, so people say Castle Camden wouldn't shake that creepy old man's hand. So Joe Biden lands in Ukraine. So this is, it is insane. It's insane that colleges still mandate vaccines. How about that? Mandate. Congratulations. People sending their child to college. And this is based on the science, their algorithms and very, very intelligent chatbots. This is a study based on the science. The science will provide the two very scientific reports, the Lancet study and the Israel study, that back the reporter's speech with evidence, scientific evidence. So it's insane that colleges still mandate vaccines. How about that? Right, 3 years after the fact. Headlines last week declared natural immunity better protection than vaccines. Holy shit. Holy cow. Wow. Didn't we know that? 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we knew that. So based on the Lancet study Thursday and backed by a groundbreaking Israel study from 2021, vaccine mandates, despite all that, vaccine mandates continue to block a full return to normalcy. So 3 years later, COVID ceased to be deadly. Nationwide threat was gone. Many institutions are still reluctant to let go of pandemic restrictions. Parents have come to see how those lingering rules have hit the young especially hard. Why do you have mandates? Why do you still have mandates for something that is... this is an interesting line. The graduating class of 2023 has hardly known the freedoms older generations enjoyed. Exuberant and unrestricted socializing, in-person intellectual debates, and of course, the freedom to choose whether to take an experimental medication intervention. Did we know all those things back in the, when I was in college in the 80s? Was I experiencing exuberant, unrestricted socialization, in-person intellectual debates? Yeah, I guess so. I guess I was. But those things are a thing of the past. And forget about trying to read 1984 and make heads or tails out of what George Orwell is trying to say about your government and Western governments becoming totalitarian and becoming extremely oppressive to support their own agenda. A kind of a separation of people and state, if you will. A separation of government and its people. It used to be trying to separate church and state. Now it's government and people, right? Trying to separate those two. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So it's almost time. There's no markets today, by the way. No markets today. While many were willing to accept temporary suspension of rights, hey, look, the bottom line is there's no science. I just gave you the science to show you that the need for these vaccines and the virus itself is all waning. It's all going down. But for some reason, college campuses are still mandating, even in light of vaccine injury, they're still mandating these vaccines. That's a problem, right? It's a problem. I don't know. I'll speak for myself. In my life, I lived through we all have. If you're alive now, you probably lived through the pandemic. We all are survivors of the 2020 pandemic. And some of us survived better than others, right? Some of us, reached for spiritual enlightenment and lost weight and took on exercise programs and ate right and said screw the fucking, the heavy pressure of city living, and escaped. Right? And others didn't. Others succumbed to vaccine mandates, forced mask wearing, forced boosters and such, forced desocialization. People succumb to that, right? Riots. So I don't know who won that argument. I feel like I did. As a person who, walked away from all of it. No vaccine. I wore a mask sometimes when I had to, maybe on the subway in New York City. But, as far as staying 6 feet away from people, only if I didn't like you, really. So it didn't affect my life. In fact, looking back on my last few years in New York City, some of my favorite moments, right, my greatest, times were those last few years when there was nobody around, right? When New York City was empty, right? You could walk around the streets and there was very, very few people, and people were relaxed. I'll be honest. The people that were out on the street were really relaxed and enjoying themselves. you know, and but now it's back to, you know, the pushy shovey. So it looks like SUNY, State University of New York, where people have succumbed to vaccine-related myocarditis after being forced to take vaccines and wanted to stay enrolled. You know, I don't know. I don't understand, right? I just don't understand it. How students and parents of those students could have made such a decision to allow government to force entry into their body and impose a vaccine and a muzzle on their face in order to get educated. I don't understand how somebody could have succumbed to doing that. I would have left the school, regardless of whatever the circumstances is, whatever I thought was advantageous to myself to be there. I got to go to college. If I don't go to college, I'll fall behind in society. Well, then so be it. I'm not going to succumb to something that I know full well in my mind, and that's the only place it has to matter, in my mind, that these things are bad. These vaccines, this forced distance from each other and such. So I find it hard to understand how young people can't see that today, that they're being played like a fiddle. And if you think that that's where it ends, they've already violated your body. What makes you think it's going to stop there? It'll just be another, you know, right around the corner, they'll come up with some other reason to shut you the hell up. Right? They're taking away your books. They are taking away your books, are they? So these are the studies, by the way, that that last story is based on, the Lancet study and the. But here we go. So this is real. British taxpayer-funded anti-extremist study finds Shakespeare, Orwell, Tolkien, key texts for white supremacists. White supremacists. It's like crazy, man. It's just, you know, a book. It's in the interpretation, no? Isn't it what you read? You know, they said when, you know, in the early '90s, listening to Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath suddenly became satanic. Satanists. Ozzy Osbourne is a Satanist. He's got a giant cross on his neck, and he's a Satanist. And yeah, I don't know. The Christians found that they found him to be a Satanist and started to ban his music, right? And music like it. And but now we have the same in literature. Literature under attack. I don't know. Make hard copies if you're a fan of Shakespeare. You better get those PDFs of Shakespeare's complete works, because at some point it might become illegal to read. Several of UK's most respected TV shows, movies, and works of literature have been included in a list of works that could potentially encourage far-right sympathies, compiled by the taxpayer-funded and government-led PREVENT counter-terrorism program. Wow. Ooh, wow. So Daily Mail reports works by some of the world's greatest writers were included as examples of warning signs of potential extremism, including Shakespeare, Chaucer, Milton, Tennyson, Orwell, Huxley, Rudyard Kipling, the poet, and Edmund Burke. Crazy. Can't make it up. The flagship prevention scheme, recently the object of a scathing audit, singled out comedies Yes Minster and The Thick of It All, the 1955 epic war film The Dam Busters, complete works of Shakespeare, as possible red flags of extremism. They never point to any specific thing in the writing. It's just that white people that they categorize as white supremacists. And that today, that could be anybody who voted for Donald Trump. Right? Remember, in this country, if you voted for Donald Trump in 2020, you are are not arguably, but you are categorized as a white supremacist. You're a white supremacist. You supported Trump. He's a white supremacist, racist, homophobe. Therefore, you are as well, because you got a Trump sign on your lawn. And we got to come over and stop that from happening. So any association with Trump makes you a white supremacist. So, unfortunately, if you've ever read William Shakespeare or George Orwell, 1984, or Animal Farm, you are also a white supremacist, according to this study. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about a white supremacist? It said the works of fiction were key texts for white nationalist supremacists. Now, this is a government agency saying it. UK's, this is who did it. This is who is publishing the study. UK's counterterrorism strategy. Now, what's the name of the joint? What's the name of these? What's the name of the crackers? Funded government-led prevention counterterrorism program. They don't even have a name for it. It's just, don't worry about it. We got a name for it, and you don't have to know the name. Just stop reading Shakespeare, man, because you're a white supremacist. A number of books are singled out, the possession of reading of which could point to severe wrongthink and therefore potential radicalization. Radicalization. You're a radical, man. You're a radical. You're reading Orwell, therefore you're radicalized, and we've got to take that book away from you. Did you ever live to think that you would see it? Did you ever live as an American? Did you ever think, maybe you're not old enough to have any reference, but if you are old enough, did you ever think you would live this long to see common books like Shakespeare being, expunged from the record? Literally. What's next? All the Beatles, the Beatles, they were singing about, I want to hold your white hand. I want to hold your hand. See, that's white supremacy, right? It's Penny Lane was in England, which is in a white country. Therefore, the song is white supremacy. And there was a white supremacist one time, Timothy McVeigh liked the Beatles. Therefore, if you like the Beatles are white supremacists because Timothy McVeigh listened to them before they killed him in the death chamber. By association, right? So you are a white supremacist by association, according to this UK fucking think tank. It doesn't end, really. It doesn't end. The Home Security Secretary made clear that Prevent will now ensure it focuses on the key threat of Islamic terrorism, as well as remain vigilant. Wow. So they're going after your books, man. Here's the clip, the article, the original article from Daily Mail. You must be having a laugh. Yes, Minister and the thick of it were among the satire programs flagged by beleaguered counter-terror prevent scheme for encouraging far-right sympathies. And again, we don't know of any of the language that they're referring to in any of these texts. All we know is that some list somewhere in the bowels of some Western culture, Western government, they have a list, and it's a bunch of people that they categorize as white supremacists, right? And because those books were on their list, that makes you a white supremacist, and it makes Rudyard Kipling and George Orwell white supremacists. Remember when Maxine Waters said they're all white supremacists? They're all white supremacists, right? Just for being, for showing up January 6th to protest election fraud in our country, showing up on the steps of Congress. They're white supremacists. Half the country's white supremacists, according to the other half. So any one of those white supremacists that reads George Orwell must also by default be a white supremacist. And let's even go one step further and say George Orwell caused the whole fucking thing. And now that you're dizzy, right? Because I'm dizzy talking about that. But have a great day, man. Mark's County reporting. That's all I got right now. I'm going to go outside and enjoy your day. It's kind of a day off. A day off. Joan Nall says, I'm so on the money and so eloquent. Am I really? I feel like I'm stumbling right now. I just know that I'm grounded in my opinion. I think that's the saving grace. I can come on this program half asleep and still ramble my view because I do it all the time. It's what I believe. We are living in a troubled time. We're always living in a troubled time. But the trouble of this time is that we have very, very uptight. Half of the country is very, very uptight about something. They're insecure about their mental health, their sexuality, their race. They're waking up in a sense, and instead of acknowledging their wokeness, their awakening to these problems that they have, they're choosing to blame everybody else for their problem. They're blaming, it's your fault. Oh yeah, because I had to live in the closet as a homosexual because of those white people in the middle of the country who wanted to hurt me. No. They don't know who you are or what you want. And frankly, they don't really care. They have their own set of values. And you have to awaken to your own being and stop worrying about what other people think of you. Stop worrying about, what that guy down the street thinks of you and stop trying to seek his approval, right? If you say some kind of shit about woke culture and the guy looks at you, what the fuck are you talking about? Why don't you just shut your hole and move on, right? Nobody wants to hear your garbage, right? That's your garbage. You living in the closet as a homosexual, that's your garbage. You, whatever other problem you have, you being so frightful of other people that you want to push a vaccine on them in the modern time is your garbage, right? And that garbage has infiltrated government. It's when you show up on Brett Kavanaugh's lawn trying to kill him for his view on abortion, that's your garbage. That's not Kavanaugh's garbage. That's your garbage, right? So that's where we are right now. You have to be sympathetic, but at the same time, you have to be deliberate in not allowing this young woke culture to, openly discriminate against anybody who's not like them and feels and thinks like them. And that is the tragedy of youth. Tragedy of youth thinks that, youth always thinks that they're right. And that all of those older people over there that have experienced life sometimes 3 or 4 times longer, they're all stupid, man. They need to just go away, And I think the key to aging, if you will, is to stay open, stay curious about what people think. I don't hate the people that are censoring, George Orwell, 1984 and Animal Farm. I sympathize with them that they clearly don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand the nature of what they're doing, that they are becoming the very thing that they're trying to stomp out. So anyway, thank you all for joining me. And have a great day, as I said before. I'll see you tomorrow, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's ring the bell. Ring the bell. Vic Morrow says, baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. That shit is racist. That shit is racist, man. Remember that? You remember the commercials? Apple pie and Chevrolet? I had American Pie. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. I drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys, they're drinking whiskey and rye, singing, "This'll be the day that I die." That shit is racist. Have some sympathy, young people. Have some understanding of what it is that's coming out of your goddamn mouth. That people who have a different opinion are not racist. I am not a racist. I am not a bigot. I'm not a homophobe. I'm not any of those things. So take my name off the goddamn list already. Marcus Conte reporting.